Hello, everyone. Today we're going to be talking about how you can personalize learning using gamification. So, my name is Arlie. I love using technology to enhance teaching and learning. It's a huge passion of mine, getting people more excited about what they can do and what they can learn, especially when they get to have their own goals. So gamification is a form of personalized learning. If students know it, they can just move on. They don't have to worry about keeping pace with other students. They don't have to worry about falling behind other students. It's purely focused on helping them get the skills that they need at the pace that they need to move. It's also great for blended learning and integrating technology. And so in this way, in your regular general education classroom, students can use the school devices or their BYOD if you're running that program, and you can use your LMS, you can use the tools that you consistently use in your classrooms, but you can use it to help students set their own learning goals and then also to meet their goals at their own pace. This is really great for universal design for learning because students have lots of opportunities to present their knowledge and can choose a lot. And we'll talk more about that when we um, talk about creating tasks. But also, gamification has been shown to improve learner self efficacy and productivity, as well as increase intrinsic motivation. And this is really important because we want our students to be excited about learning. And so, this way, they get excited, they can move on, they can find something they're passionate about, and hopefully extend their learning in their own time. So, these are the elements that you would need to follow to create your gamification course. As with anything in education, we always want to start with what standards are we covering, and then we move into how are we going to assess those standards. And this really helps us have a beginning and an end point. When using instructional design models, particularly Pebble-in-the-Pond, as described by Reiser and Dempsey, they talk about how the standards can be the problem demonstration and the problem progression. So we know where we're going, and the assessment is the end of that problem progression. What should they be able to apply independently by the end? And so that helps give us that roadmap. And then we want to look at what technology is available, what are we going to use. Then we'll develop the specific tasks. If we're using the Pebble-in-the-Pond instructional design model, this would be equivalent to the component task development for instruction. And then finally, the points, which is the big motivator in this gamification type of learning. So with standards and skills, you always start here, like we said before. Creating essential questions really helps you to guide the unit, and it also helps students be able to be consistently thinking about what they're learning and how it can be applied to the assessment activity at the end. This is also a great opportunity to add study strategies because students will be working independently, and you can help them to learn how to do this well, which is a great skill going into university and even into their jobs. Next, we will design assessments. So essentially, what should they be able to do independently by the end? And so we might want to be creating performance tasks, academic prompts, tests, and quizzes, but we need to know that so we can develop activities and we can develop demonstrations that teach skills, and we can develop application activities that help them actually meet the goal of the learning. In Pebble-in-the-Pond, it talks a lot about how you really want to be intentional to move students from having the skill demonstrated into applying it independently. And so this helps us be able to do that well. The next thing you're going to do is look at what technology you have available. So if we're doing blended learning, it doesn't really help if we are incorporating technology that you either don't have the funds for or students are unfamiliar with. You're also going to want to limit your platforms to no more than 3 to 4 tools. For example, there's a popular quiz site like Kahoot called Quizzes, but Quizzes and Quizlet are very different, but they also do similar things in the way that they do memory and recall type activities. And so if we're wanting students to be successful, we're going to need to make sure that we are using fewer tools so that their cognitive load is focused more on what they're learning and less on learning how to use the technology tools. So really dig in, look at what you're already using, look at what the school has already provided, what they've used in the past, and this will help you be successful as we create this gamification module. So the next thing you're going to do is create the tasks. This is where you would create your time frame and your theme here. So you're going to want to match the skills to the standards, creating opportunities for individual inquiry. Don't reinvent the wheel. Use your curriculum. As I have created modules like this, you can, especially in reading, use the curriculum you have. It's just students are being self-paced, so they're reading the same stories, but they're doing it in their own time. These activities should be mostly independent and based on pre-recorded mini lessons. This is where the blended learning comes in, or small group activities where students are moving in similar paces can work together. It doesn't actually have to be online. You can create this without technology, but it is easiest if that is done with technology. As Reiser and Dempsey have seen in their chapter talking about game-based learning and personalized learning, these are always easier with technology just because of the organizational factors for educators. And so you want to build each level as well to be a similar routine. And you want students to be familiar. After they do the first one, then they can do the next one and they know kind of what they're going to do. And this helps to increase their learning again on the content and not on the technology. So you want to establish a time frame as you're creating the task. There's a lot of ways to be creative with what we want students to do. And so it's really important that we know what our time frame is so we can choose what is the most important for what they can do in this amount of time. Be mindful that you are going to have to reteach content. If students are working independently, that means they are going to miss some things, and so they will need your help in this reteaching. And also you are going to have students who will finish early, so have those extension activities ready to go. How can they take their learning further and apply it? So for themes, this can be totally unrelated, have it be something exciting and that they connect with. So I've done ones where it's the Land of Stories. This is a book series that the kids absolutely loved. And so it was just like the titles of the different units we were doing. They got to have team names and it was really fun. We read the story aloud in class. Another one was Information Nation, and this was spy themed, and so they got to have graphics that were around being spies, and they got to come up with code names, and there's a lot of fun application there. Math Olympics, so this was also really fun because you can also have some like fun breaks where students stop and do actual physical activities as they're working through their units. And then finally, the last thing you're going to plan is rewards. And so this is the most motivating part of doing gamification. It is what gets students intrinsically motivated. It is what gets them wanting to learn more in most cases. And so there's a lot of different ways that you can do this. It can be by having point boards and leaderboards. You can assign badges, but it's important to note that completion is what motivates learners. If we're looking at accuracy, if we're looking at grades, if we're looking at leveling students between each other by who's better at what skills, then it's usually demotivating for students and discouraging. They don't want to do it. So you want to make sure that this is completion based, that you're giving awards just for completing the task. And if they need to be retaught, that's great. We can go back and do that. But we want to honor the fact that they are doing their best in this moment. These awards can be digital awards or they could be physical awards. Another way you can go is with points and badges, keeping track of those in Google Sheets or Excel spreadsheets, or assigning badges in your LMS where they can kind of show off what they've been able to do is very motivating for students.